Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today I'm going to make a Shibori inspired flag fold shirt. I made one of these not too long ago and it turned out really cool, so I decided to try it again, but this time I'm using a larger size shirt. The shirt that I'm using is a size 2X. I'm going to begin by folding the hem of the shirt up to one side of the shirt. Then I'm going to try to straighten out any of the wrinkles and make everything lay as flat as possible. Now I'm going to pinch up at the top of the shirt where the side of the shirt comes up and lays on top of the shirt. I'm going to pinch that area, lift the shirt up off the table, and fold it down. When I lay the shirt down, I have flipped the shirt over. So I basically have the portion of the shirt that I folded back, which is the neck of the shirt, facing me. I'm wanting to keep this shirt in a triangle shape. So I'm going to fold the sleeves in and try to keep it in that triangle shape. One side I have quite a bit of fabric, and so I'm going to fan fold that or just kind of accordion fold it back and forth until I get it to work into the rest of the shirt and maintain that shape. The other sleeve is a little bit easier. I can just fold it in. Now I'm going to take one corner of the triangle and fold it over to the other corner of the triangle. Again, still maintaining that triangle shape. I'm going to take the corner that I just folded over and fold it back. Then, so that my sleeve doesn't come undone, I'm going to grab that part of the shirt and fold that part of the triangle back as well. I'm going to grab one corner of the triangle again, fold it back one more time, and do the same thing on the other side. I'm kind of making up this fold as I go. It's loosely based on a flag fold from a Shibori technique. But like I said, the last time I did this on the shirt, I used a size medium shirt. So the fold was a little bit different. This is a little bit more fabric, and so I'm kind of having to figure out the fold as I go. Then to hold this whole thing in place, I'm going to use a couple rubber bands. So when I folded this shirt, it was just about Christmas time and I got really busy. So I placed the shirt aside while I was working on some other projects, and I just got back to it not too long ago. So the shirt was completely dry. I mean, completely dry before I applied the dye to it. It doesn't really need to be that dry though. You can apply the dye when it's a little bit damp. For this shirt, I'm choosing to use a single color dye, and I'm going to use Solar Flare from Dalula Co. And I think this is a really cool color. For my setup, I've taken a plastic tote, and down inside of it, I'm using another plastic container. This one has a solid bottom, but it does have holes in the sides where the dye can drain out. I'm going to place the shirt with that main point facing down, and I'm going to push the shirt up toward the side of the container so that it won't fall over. Then to keep this plastic container off the bottom of the other plastic container, I'm going to use a small metal basket. And I purchased this at the Dollar Tree dollar store. I think that's where I got the plastic container that the shirt is sitting in as well. I don't want to process this shirt down in the muck, which muck is defined as the runoff from the melting ice that's mixed with the dye. I know that this container has a solid bottom, but the holes on the side will allow most of that muck to drain away from the shirt. So to keep the shirt up next to the side of the container and not falling over, I've taken a plastic cutting board, which I purchased from the Dollar Tree, folded it in half, kind of shoved it up next to the shirt, and then placed another little bit larger metal basket up next to the cutting board to hold it in place. You can do whatever kind of setup works for you. For me, the goal is to put the dye on the portion of the shirt that's facing up and to have the point of that main triangle facing down. Now, because the shirt is completely dry, I'm using a little bit of soda ash solution that I placed in a spray bottle, and I'm going to spray the top portion of the shirt so that the dye will sink in a little bit better. And like I said, I'm only going to use one single color, Dalula Company's Solar Flare. I'm going to lightly sprinkle that over the top of the folds. Now over the top of the dye, I'm going to add a little bit of additional dry soda ash, and I'm going to add on some ice cubes. The ice cubes I'm going to use are ones that I make in some silicone ice molds. Since they're a little bit larger and because of their shape, I think they're going to work great for this project. After I place the ice cubes on the shirt, I place this container aside to allow the ice to melt. And after the first layer of ice melted, I came back and checked the shirt, and the dye was starting to run through the shirt pretty well, but I still had quite a bit of undissolved dye left sitting on top, so I added a second layer of ice cubes. Then after the second layer of ice cubes melted, I came back and I had a little bit of undissolved dye on top. I didn't want that dye to make big speckles on my shirt, so I took my spray bottle of soda ash solution and sprayed those areas where the dye wasn't quite totally dissolved. Then, when I had most of the dye dissolved with the soda ash solution, I added another layer of ice cubes and allowed those ice cubes to melt. After that third layer of ice cubes melted, I went ahead and left the shirt to process. And because it's been really cold here, I didn't want to go out and rinse them out where it was super cold. So the shirts went ahead and processed for probably about 5 days before I rinsed it. You definitely don't need to leave it that long. I only left it that long because it was too cold in the garage to rinse the shirt. But I would leave it at least 24 to 48 hours after that last layer of ice melts. Then to rinse the shirt, I took it to my utility sink and I started rinsing it in cold water to rinse out the soda ash. Then I untied the shirt and warmed the water up to hot and continued rinsing in hot water to try to rinse out the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. Instead of rinsing for a long time, I went ahead and ran some really hot water in my utility sink, added some Blue Dawn dish soap to the water, placed the shirt inside, and allowed it to soak. As soon as the water cooled off, I would change it out, and I continued that soaking process until my water was remaining almost clear. My water was cooling off pretty quickly because it is still pretty cold here, so after doing the soaking process about 2 or 3 times, I decided to go ahead and wash the shirt. I thought maybe I would get better success getting out the excess dye, washing it in the washing machine, because I think my water was cooling off too quickly in the garage. So I went ahead and added some Dharma's Professional Textile Detergent to my washing machine, and I washed the shirt using a hot water cycle. I went ahead and did that process twice to try to get any of the excess dye out of the shirt. Then I went ahead and dried the shirt, ironed it, and let's see what it looks like. Okay, so what do you guys think? I really like this one. I love this color. I think it's a really cool color, and I think the color splits are really fun. You know, it's got kind of a coralish color, some pink colors, red, or maybe more of like a watermelon color, orange, hints of yellow. It's just really pretty. When you look at this shirt, you'll see the different squares of the shirt, and the very center of those squares is where the point of the triangle that was facing down, that's that part of the shirt. And I just really like how the dye flows to that area and forms almost what looks like either a little flower or a little firework explosion right in the center of those squares. I think it's really cool. I think this design is great to do as single color dyes. That allows the space for the dye to flow and to split. And I like these dyes that are specifically formulated for ice dyeing to use on these shirts. On the other one I made, I think I used Dye Spin's Elysian. But I wanted to try this Solar Flare because I think this is such a bright, pretty color. And if you haven't ever heard of Dalula Company, it is owned by Amanda, who lives out in California, and she formulates these dyes specifically for ice dyeing. So she tries to keep in mind getting lots of cool color splits out of each of the colors. She is a very small business. It's just her who develops and formulates the dyes. So sometimes it can take about 3 weeks between when you order the dyes and when she ships you your dyes. But I think it's worth it. I mean, the colors are very unique. And I think all of them are really pretty. I have quite a few videos out on my YouTube channel that show some of her dye colors. I'll leave a link down below this video in the description to her website if you want to look at the colors she has available. Then she also has a Facebook page called Dalula Dyes and Company. And it's a Facebook group where you can go out there. A lot of people will post projects where they've used some of her dyes. I think it's a fun group to kind of interact with the people and see what some of these dyes that she makes do for different projects. Because you know these cool ice dyes don't always split exactly the same depending upon the project. And I think it's fun to see how, when other people use them, what they look like. So I really love this shirt. I love this technique. I think the shirts turn out looking really cool. But what do you guys think? Please drop me some comments down below and let me know. And if you've enjoyed the video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it and if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'll hit the bell, you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.